The world is a crazy place, and the way it's organized is surely crazy, but we have to be crazy enough to see what that way is if we're really going to understand this physical world. It's not just a matter of nice, simple formulas. There's some ideas out there that are waiting to be discovered.
When neuroscientists scanned the brain looking for you, they found nothing. No tiny operator, no control center, just electrical signals, thoughts flickering in and out, like a magic trick so convincing you've fallen for it your entire life. Here's the truth. There's an imposter in your head. It sounds like you. It feels like you. But it's not you. And it's been sabotaging your entire life. So if there's no you inside your brain, who's watching this video? Who's thinking your thoughts? This isn't philosophy, this is cold, hard neuroscience. And once you see the truth, you'll never experience yourself the same way again. That voice in your head, doubting you, second-guessing, replaying mistakes, isn't you. It's just neurons firing, recycling old stories, and you don't control it. It talks at you, it judges, narrates, and pretends to guide you. But if that voice is talking, who's listening? In this video, we're exposing the biggest lie your brain has ever told you. I'll show you the hard neuroscience that proves it, and how breaking free from this illusion will change your life forever. By the end, you'll never see yourself the same way again. Have you ever stopped to wonder who really controls your thoughts? Let's break it down simply. The voice in your head, the one that talks non-stop, does not define who you are. It is just a stream of automatic patterns. Neuroscientists have looked deep into the brain and found something surprising. There isn't a single spot that holds the real you. Instead, they see many signals and flashes of activity that come and go. Your thoughts are like radio stations playing in the background, not the boss of your mind. Think of your brain like a busy highway. Cars, or thoughts, zoom by in every direction. You might get caught up in the rush, but you are not the cars. You are the one standing on the sidewalk, watching them pass. Once you see it this way, you begin to understand that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the person who sees them come and go. Many people try meditation to calm this busy mind. They sit quietly and try to stop their thoughts. But here's the catch. Most of us believe that our thoughts are the real us. This mix-up makes meditation feel frustrating. When you focus too hard on your thoughts, you end up giving them more power instead of letting the quiet mind emerge. Let's try a simple exercise together. Find a comfortable seat, close your eyes, and take a slow, deep breath in and then out. As you breathe, notice the thoughts that enter your mind. Don't fight them or judge them. Just let them pass by. Imagine you're watching cars on that busy highway. See them zoom past without trying to catch or change them. While you do this, ask yourself, who is watching these thoughts? Soon you may feel a small space between your thoughts and your awareness. That space is the true you. It is steady and calm. It isn't affected by every little thought that rushes by. This simple act shows you a powerful truth. You are not your thoughts. Think of your mind as a clear screen where thoughts are only images. Once you grasp this idea, you can start to take control. You decide which thoughts to focus on and which ones to let go of. Here's the exciting part. Science tells us that by watching your thoughts, you actually change them. The more you practice this calm, non-judgmental observation, the clearer and more peaceful your mind becomes. And when your mind is clear, you begin to see the world in a fresh light. You start to shape your own reality. Ask yourself, why let automatic thoughts control your day? Why not take charge and be the driver of your own mind? Realize that by stepping back and watching, you open the door to a better life. You gain the power to change not just your thoughts, but the very reality you live in. This idea is simple, yet powerful. It means you are not a victim of your mind's chatter. You are the calm observer who can choose which thoughts matter. With practice, you can let go of the unhelpful noise and build a clearer, more focused mind. Now think about this. Every time you watch your thoughts without judgment, you are making a choice. That choice can lead to real change. Imagine that by simply observing, you can influence the world around you. The next part of our journey will show you how your act of observation can even shape your reality. For now, remember this key truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the calm space where thoughts appear and then fade away. Keep practicing this awareness. It is the first step in taking control of your mind and your life. But have you ever heard of the double-slit experiment? It's a famous test in quantum physics that shows how observation can change reality. In this experiment, scientists shoot tiny particles, like electrons, through two small slits. When no one is watching, these particles act like waves and create a pattern on a screen. But the moment someone observes them, they suddenly act like tiny balls and hit the screen in a different pattern. This means that simply watching changes the outcome. This experiment is not magic, it's real science, and it has a powerful lesson for your life. Think of your thoughts as the observer in the experiment. When you focus on something, you shape the way things turn out. When you don't pay attention, things remain uncertain, open to many possibilities. In short, what you focus on can bring it into being. Consider this. Have you ever noticed how two people can see the same event very differently? One might see a challenge, while the other sees an opportunity. That is because each person observes with a different focus. Your mind works in much the same way. When you choose to focus on negativity or failure, that is what you will see. But if you start to focus on positivity and opportunity, you begin to see those chances everywhere. Now imagine your life is like a mirror. The thoughts you hold inside reflect on the outside world. If you only think about what is lacking, you will notice more lack. But if you train your mind to see success and abundance, your life starts to change. It's like looking for coins on the street. If you believe you're always poor, you might not even notice the coins that fall to the ground. But if you are open and alert, you start to see those small treasures. The double-slit experiment tells us that observation is powerful. You are not a passive viewer. Just as the particles change when they are watched, your reality shifts when you pay attention to your thoughts. Your focus is like a beam of light. It illuminates some parts of your life and leaves others in the dark. This is why what you choose to observe matters so much. Ask yourself, what are you choosing to focus on? Are you watching your life from a distance, or are you actively shaping it with your attention? It's not too late to change your perspective. You have the power to direct your focus. When you change what you observe, you change your experience. Here's a simple challenge. For one day, pay close attention to your thoughts. Write them down as they come. At the end of the day, review your list. What did you mostly focus on? Chances are you will see a pattern. Perhaps a focus on what is going wrong or on worries that keep you stuck. Recognizing this is the first step in shifting your attention to a more positive path. This lesson from quantum physics shows us that we are active participants in our world. The act of observation is not a small thing. It has the power to collapse endless possibilities into one clear reality. When you learn to control your focus, you learn to control your destiny. Remember, you are not at the mercy of random chance. Your mind is a tool that shapes your world. Use it wisely, change your focus, and you can change your life. In the next part, we will explore how your mind might be trapping you in a false reality. We'll look at ways to break free from these invisible chains and take back control. Stay with me. Your journey toward a more powerful life has just begun. But have you ever felt that something isn't quite right with reality? That nagging feeling in the back of your mind, like you're living in a dream you can't wake up from. The signs are everywhere, but we've been trained to ignore them. The way time seems to speed up or slow down without reason. Those strange coincidences that defy probability. The sense that our choices might not be our own. What if I told you that your instincts are correct? That this reality, the one you think you know so well, might be an elaborate simulation. Not just any simulation, but one so advanced that it has fooled billions of minds for thousands of years. This isn't science fiction. Leading scientists and philosophers are seriously considering the possibility that we live in a simulated universe. The math checks out. The physics makes sense. The evidence keeps piling up. But here's the real question. If we are living in a simulation, can we escape it? Can we break free from the coded chains that bind us to this artificial reality? The answer might surprise you. Through decades of research, meditation, and direct experience, I've discovered methods to peek behind the curtain, to see the code that makes up our supposed reality, and more importantly, I've found ways to manipulate it. Think of the most vivid dream you've ever had. In that dream, everything felt real until the moment you realized you were dreaming. That realization changed everything. Suddenly, you could fly, walk through walls, or create anything you wanted. That same principle applies here, but on a much grander scale. This isn't about denying the reality we experience. It's about seeing it for what it truly is, a sophisticated program running on the most powerful computer imaginable. Once you understand this, you can start to bend the rules. But let me be clear. This knowledge comes with responsibility. Breaking free from the simulation isn't about escaping your life or avoiding your problems. It's about seeing the bigger picture and using that knowledge to create positive change. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share what I've learned about the nature of our simulated reality. I'll show you the glitches in the system, the patterns that give it away, and most importantly, the techniques you can use to start breaking free. Some of what I'm about to tell you might sound impossible. Some of it might challenge everything you believe about reality. That's good. Skepticism is healthy. Question everything, including what I tell you. But keep an open mind, because the truth is stranger than any fiction we could create. You might be wondering why this information isn't more widely known. Why aren't governments and scientists talking about this? The answer is simple. Control. The system is built to keep us unaware. Those who benefit from the current structure have no interest in people waking up to the truth. But times are changing. More people are noticing the cracks in reality. More are asking questions that can't be answered by traditional science or religion. We're reaching a tipping point where the old explanations no longer satisfy our collective curiosity. Think about how technology has evolved. We've gone from simple calculators to quantum computers in just a few decades. We're creating virtual worlds that become more realistic every year. Is it really so hard to believe that someone or something might have done the same thing on a universal scale? The signs of simulation are becoming clearer every day. The quantum behavior that makes no logical sense. The mathematical constants that appear throughout nature. The limits of space and time that behave exactly like processing constraints in a computer program. But this isn't just about proving we're in a simulation. It's about what we can do with that knowledge. How we can use it to transform our lives and help others. How we can become more than what the program intended us to be. In the coming minutes, we'll explore the evidence for our simulated reality. We'll look at practical methods for testing and proving these concepts in your own life. Most importantly, we'll discuss how to use this knowledge responsibly and ethically. Are you ready to see how deep the rabbit hole goes? To question everything you think you know about reality? To learn how to break free from the greatest illusion ever created? Let's begin. The idea that we're separate from everything around us is one of the biggest tricks our minds play on us. Right now, you might be sitting in your room, feeling like you're completely distinct from the chair you're sitting on, the air you're breathing, or the device you're watching this on. Look at your hand for a moment. What do you see? You see skin, fingers, maybe some lines or freckles. But what's really there? Science tells us it's mostly empty space, with tiny particles held together by invisible forces. The solid object you think you're seeing is made up of the same basic building blocks as the air around it. Think about breathing. Where does the air stop being outside and start being inside you? Each breath connects you directly to the atmosphere, to the trees releasing oxygen, to the entire cycle of life on Earth. Your body replaces most of its cells every few years, using materials from the food you eat. Food that came from soil, water, and sunlight. Your thoughts might feel like they're coming from a separate you inside your head, but they're shaped by everything you've experienced, everyone you've met, every book you've read, every movie you've watched. The language you use to think was given to you by your culture. The ideas you have built on millions of other ideas from throughout human history. The boundary between you and not you gets fuzzier the closer you look at it. Your body contains more bacterial cells than human cells. The water in your body was once in the ocean, in clouds, in other living things. The atoms making up your body were forged in ancient stars. This separation we feel is useful. It helps us function in daily life. But it's like drawing lines on a map. The lines help us talk about different areas, but they don't exist in the real landscape. France and Spain aren't actually separated by a line you can see from space. In the same way, the line between you and everything else is a mental tool, not a physical reality. Consider how this plays out in your daily life. When you feel completely alone, you're actually connected to countless systems and processes. The internet lets you communicate instantly with people across the planet. The food in your kitchen links you to farmers, truck drivers, store workers, and countless others who helped get it to you. Social media can make us feel more isolated, even though it's meant to connect us. We see ourselves as separate little islands, each with our own profile and feed, but we're all part of the same vast network, influencing each other in ways we can barely track. Even our sense of being a separate self changes all the time. You're not the same person you were as a child, or even the same person you were last year. Your cells have changed, your thoughts have changed, your relationships have changed. Which version is the real you? The truth is, you're more like a process than a thing. You're a pattern in the flow of matter and energy and information, temporarily taking this particular form. Like a wave in the ocean, it looks like a separate thing, but it's really just water moving in a pattern. This isn't just philosophy. It has real effects on how we live. When we see through the illusion of separation, we naturally become more compassionate. It's harder to hate others when you deeply see how connected you are to them. It's harder to abuse the environment when you understand it's not separate from you. Many of our biggest problems come from forgetting these connections. We pollute the air as if we didn't need to breathe it. We damage ecosystems as if we weren't part of them. We hurt others as if their pain couldn't affect us. But you can start seeing through this illusion right now. Notice the air moving in and out of your lungs. Feel the ground supporting you. Think about the countless people and processes that brought you to this moment. You're not watching this video. You're part of the whole process that includes both watching and being watched. This might sound strange at first. Our whole society is built on the idea of separate individuals. But you don't need to give up your practical sense of self to recognize it's not the whole truth. Just like you can use a map while knowing it's not the actual territory. The illusion of separation is just that, an illusion. A useful one for some purposes, but still an illusion. And seeing through it, even briefly, can change everything about how you experience life. The hidden mechanism runs deeper than we might expect. Right beneath our daily experiences lies a system so fundamental, yet invisible, that most of us go through life without seeing it. Think of it like looking at a screen. You see the images, but rarely notice the pixels making them up. This mechanism operates on rules that seem to break everything we think we know about reality. Objects can be connected without touching. Information moves without any clear path between points. Time doesn't flow in just one direction. Let me show you something interesting. Pick up any object near you. A cup, a pen, your phone, anything. Now look at the space between your hand and that object. We see empty air, but that space is filled with invisible forces, pulling everything together or pushing it apart. These forces don't need wires or ropes. They work through pure mathematical relationships. The same principle applies to our thoughts and experiences. We believe our minds are sealed inside our heads, separated from everything else by skull and skin. But consciousness doesn't stop at the boundary of our bodies. It extends through these hidden connections, linking us to everything we observe. Scientists have found that particles can affect each other instantly across any distance. They call it entanglement. But this isn't just about tiny quantum particles, it scales up to our everyday world. Every observation we make, every thought we think, creates ripples through this hidden network. Consider how you can sense when someone is looking at you, even from behind, or how you sometimes know who's calling before checking your phone. These aren't mystical powers. They're glimpses of the mechanism at work. Your brain picks up on subtle patterns in this invisible web of connections. The mechanism doesn't care about space or time the way we usually think about them. In dreams, you can be in multiple places at once. In memories, you can revisit any moment. These aren't illusions. They're showing us how reality actually works when we look past our usual filters. Here's what makes it really interesting. This mechanism responds to attention and intention. When you focus on something, you're not just passively observing, you're actively engaging with this hidden system. Your consciousness becomes part of the process. Think about times when everything just clicked, when solutions appeared out of nowhere, or when you felt completely in sync with your surroundings. Those moments happen when we accidentally align with this mechanism. Now imagine being able to do that on purpose. But be careful. This isn't about gaining special powers or breaking physics. It's about seeing what's already there. The mechanism has always been running, like gravity or electricity. We just haven't been taught to notice it. The biggest obstacle is our habit of dividing everything into separate pieces. We split the world into subject and object, mind and matter, past and future. But the mechanism doesn't work that way. It's all one system, operating as a single piece. You can start noticing it in small ways. Pay attention to coincidences, not to find meaning in them, but to spot the patterns they reveal. Watch how your thoughts affect your surroundings, and how your surroundings affect your thoughts. Look for connections where you assumed there were none. The mechanism shows up in technology too. Computers can process information faster than physical signals should allow. Quantum computers tap directly into these hidden connections. Even regular electronics work, because electrons follow these deeper rules we're talking about. This isn't about believing in something new. It's about seeing what's been there all along. Like learning to read, once you spot the patterns, you can't unsee them. The hidden mechanism becomes obvious in everything you do. But knowing about it isn't enough. You need to work with it. Start paying attention to the gaps between things, the spaces where nothing seems to be happening. That's where the mechanism is most visible. Notice how changes in one area ripple out to affect others. The good news is you don't need special training or tools to see this. Your brain is already built to work with it. We've just been taught to ignore the signals. By paying attention differently, you can start spotting how it all fits together. This hidden mechanism isn't separate from regular physics. It's what makes physics work in the first place. It's behind every natural law and process we've discovered. Science hasn't found it directly because it's what we use to do science. As we move forward, we'll see how this connects to quantum mechanics and explains things that used to seem impossible. But for now, just start watching for it in your daily life. The mechanism is always there, running everything behind the scenes. The quantum world breaks all our normal rules about reality. Things can exist in multiple states at once. Particles can connect across space instantly, and the simple act of looking at something changes it. These aren't just weird theories. Scientists prove these effects in labs every day. Think about a coin spinning on a table. While it spins, we could say it's both heads and tails until we stop it and look. Quantum particles work like this, but for real. They stay in multiple states until someone measures them. This is called superposition, but here's where it gets stranger. Two quantum particles can become entangled. When this happens, measuring one particle instantly affects its partner, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, because it seemed to break his rule that nothing can travel faster than light. These quantum effects might explain how our reality works at its deepest level. Some scientists think our entire universe could be like a quantum computer, processing information through these weird quantum rules. Every choice, every possibility, might exist together until we observe it. This connects to simulation theory in a fascinating way. If we live in a computer simulation, it would need some way to process reality. Quantum mechanics could be the programming language of our universe. The strange quantum rules might be shortcuts the simulation uses to save processing power. It only calculates exact positions and properties when something is being observed. Let's look at the double slit experiment. When scientists shoot single particles at a wall with two slits, each particle seems to go through both slits at once, creating an interference pattern like a wave. But if they measure which slit the particle goes through, the pattern disappears. The particle picks just one path. This behavior matches how video games and computer graphics work. They only render what the player can see. Areas outside your view stay in a kind of probability state until you look at them. Our universe might work the same way. The quantum world also shows us that reality isn't as solid as we think. At the smallest scales, everything becomes fuzzy probabilities rather than definite objects. Empty space isn't really empty. It's full of virtual particles popping in and out of existence. Some physicists suggest that space and time themselves might be made of tiny bits of information, like pixels on a screen. This idea, called digital physics, sees our universe as a giant information processing system. Every particle, every force, every bit of space could be made of ones and zeros. This brings us to the measurement problem in quantum mechanics. Why does observing something force it to pick one state? What counts as an observation? Does it need a conscious observer? These questions point to a deep connection between consciousness and reality. If consciousness affects quantum states, and quantum states make up reality, then consciousness might be more fundamental than we thought. Maybe our minds don't just perceive reality, they help create it. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that every possible outcome happens in different branches of reality. When we make a choice or measure something, we're just becoming aware of one particular branch. All other possibilities continue in parallel universes. This could explain the fine-tuning problem, why our universe seems perfectly set up for life. If every possible version of reality exists, we naturally find ourselves in one that can support us. These quantum effects might be glitches in the simulation, places where we can see the computational nature of our reality, or they might be features built into the system, necessary parts of how the simulation works. Recent experiments push these ideas further. Scientists have created larger and larger quantum superpositions, showing that quantum effects aren't limited to tiny particles. They've teleported information using quantum entanglement and built basic quantum computers. Each discovery in quantum physics reveals more about how reality works at its most basic level. If we live in a simulation, Understanding quantum mechanics might help us understand its code. We might even learn to use these quantum effects to test the simulation hypothesis or interact with the system in new ways. The quantum nature of reality challenges everything we think we know about the world. It shows us that the universe is stranger and more mysterious than we imagined. Whether we live in a simulation or not, quantum mechanics tells us that reality isn't what it seems. The human mind creates its own prison, building walls from thoughts and beliefs that limit what we think is possible. These mental barriers feel completely real, yet they exist only in our minds. Think of your thoughts as a room. Some people live in a tiny box, while others see endless space and options. Most of us walk through life stuck in patterns we don't see. We follow the same daily routines, react with the same emotions, and make choices based on old programming. This mental loop tricks us into believing we're seeing reality, but we're just watching our own thoughts play on repeat. Your brain processes about 11 million bits of information every second, but you consciously notice only about 40 bits. This means you're filtering out 99.9% of reality at any moment. What you think you see isn't the full picture. It's just the tiny slice your mind lets through based on your existing beliefs and expectations. This filtering system helped our ancestors survive by focusing on threats and familiar patterns. But today, it can keep us trapped in limited ways of thinking. If you believe something is impossible, your brain will filter out all evidence that proves otherwise. Let me give you an example. Two people look at the same job posting. One sees an exciting opportunity and applies right away. The other sees all the reasons they're not qualified and moves on. Same external reality, completely different internal experience. Breaking free from this mind trap starts with recognizing that your thoughts aren't facts. They're just one possible interpretation of reality. Your beliefs are like colored glasses you've worn so long you've forgotten you're wearing them. Think about a time you were absolutely certain about something, only to later discover you were wrong. That moment of realization shows how convincing our mental constructs can be, and how different reality might be from what we believe. Your brain creates shortcuts called neural pathways. The more you think certain thoughts, the stronger these pathways become. It's like walking the same path through a field. Eventually, it becomes a deep groove that's hard to step out of. But just like you can create new physical paths, you can build new mental pathways too. The good news is that your brain remains flexible throughout your life. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, your ability to rewire your thinking patterns at any age. Every time you challenge an old belief or try something new, you're creating fresh neural connections. Consider how children learn. They don't worry about failing or looking foolish. They try, fall, get up, and try again. They haven't built mental walls yet. We can learn from this approach, staying curious and open to new possibilities. The first step to escaping your mind trap is becoming aware of your thoughts. Notice when you automatically say, "I can't," or "that's impossible." These are clues pointing to your mental barriers. Question these limitations. Are they based on facts, or just familiar thoughts you've never challenged? Your mind might resist this awareness. It prefers the comfort of familiar patterns, even if they limit you. This resistance is normal. It's your brain trying to stay efficient by sticking to known pathways. But efficiency isn't always progress. Many people stay trapped because they don't realize they're in a prison of their own making. They blame external circumstances for their limitations, without seeing how their thoughts shape their reality. The walls feel solid because they've believed in them for so long. Think of your mind like a computer running old software. Just because it's always operated one way doesn't mean it's the only way. You can install updates, delete old programs, and run new ones. But first, you need to recognize that an upgrade is possible. The mind trap isn't about intelligence. Brilliant people can be stuck in limiting beliefs just like anyone else. Sometimes, being smart makes it easier to create complex justifications for staying trapped. The key is not outsmarting the trap, but seeing through it completely. Your thoughts create your experience of reality. Change your thoughts, and you change what's possible for you. This isn't magical thinking. It's about removing artificial limitations so you can see opportunities that were always there. In the next section, we'll explore 3 practical steps to shift your reality by rewiring these mental patterns. But remember, just recognizing that you're in a mind trap is already the beginning of breaking free. The 3-step reality shift exists as the bridge between seeing the simulation and breaking free from it. I'll share these steps that can transform your perception and help you exit the programmed patterns of thinking. Step 1 focuses on questioning everything. Start with your daily habits. Why do you wake up at the time you do? Who decided your career path? What made you choose your current beliefs? Most of these choices weren't really yours. They came from social conditioning, family expectations, or cultural programming. By asking these questions, you begin to see the artificial nature of many life patterns. The second step requires you to create distance between yourself and your thoughts. Your mind produces thousands of thoughts each day, but you don't need to believe them all. Watch your thoughts like clouds passing through the sky. Notice how many of them repeat old patterns or reflect fears that aren't based on current reality. This separation helps you spot the difference between genuine thoughts and programmed responses. The third step brings in conscious choice-making. Once you see the patterns and can separate from automatic thoughts, you can make new choices. This doesn't mean rejecting everything. Some patterns serve good purposes. But now you choose which ones to keep based on what truly benefits you, not what the simulation wants. Let me give you an example. Think about money beliefs. Most people carry thoughts like, money is hard to earn, or rich people are bad. These ideas came from somewhere: parents, media, society. That's step 1, questioning where these beliefs originated. Step 2 means observing these money thoughts without accepting them as truth. Step 3 involves choosing new beliefs based on your own experience and goals. This process works for any area of life. Relationships, career choices, daily habits, all can change through these 3 steps. But here's something critical. Don't try to change everything at once. Pick one area and practice there first. Maybe start with morning habits or food choices, something simple but meaningful. The reality shift happens gradually. You might notice small changes first, feeling less anxious about others' opinions, making decisions more easily, or seeing opportunities you missed before. These small shifts build up to bigger changes in how you experience life. Some people worry this process will disconnect them from others. Actually, the opposite happens. By breaking free from programmed responses, you connect more authentically with people. You listen better because you're not stuck in reactive patterns. You communicate more clearly because you know your true thoughts. Physical reality starts changing too. Your environment begins reflecting your authentic choices instead of programmed ones. You might change your living space, adjust your schedule, or attract different types of people and opportunities. These changes flow naturally from your shifted perspective. Time feels different during this process. You'll notice gaps between events and your reactions to them. These gaps give you space to choose responses instead of reacting automatically. This is where real freedom starts, in those small moments of choice. But watch out for the snapback effect. Sometimes old patterns try to pull you back, especially during stress or tired times. This doesn't mean the shift isn't working. It just shows you where you need more practice with the 3 steps. Your emotions become tools instead of traps. Instead of being controlled by feelings, you see them as information. Anger might show where boundaries need setting. Fear might point to areas needing growth. You use emotions instead of letting them use you. The simulation fights back through doubt. You might think, this can't be real, or I'm fooling myself. These thoughts are part of the program trying to keep you in place. See them for what they are: resistance to change, not truth. Success looks different for each person. Some experience big external changes, others notice subtle internal shifts. Both count as progress. What matters is moving from programmed patterns to conscious choices. Keep notes during this process. Writing helps you spot patterns and track changes. It gives you solid evidence of your progress when doubt creeps in. Plus, it helps you refine your approach based on what works best for you. The 3 steps seem simple, but they transform reality by changing how you interact with it. Each conscious choice creates ripples, affecting everything around you. Small changes build into complete reality shifts. This process never really ends, but it gets easier. The steps become natural, like breathing. You spot patterns faster, create distance quicker, and make choices more confidently. Your new reality becomes stable, built on your conscious choices instead of programming. Life is a simulation, and you're about to learn the truth that changes everything. This isn't science fiction. It's backed by physics, mathematics, and the observations of our greatest minds. Think about your dreams. In them, you experience a complete reality. You feel, see, hear, and interact with a world your mind created. Now consider this. What if our waking reality works the same way? What if we're living in an advanced simulation that's just more stable than our dreams? The evidence is hiding in plain sight. Look at the building blocks of our universe: atoms, particles, and quantum mechanics. They don't behave like solid objects. They act like information, like code. They only take definite form when observed, just like how a video game renders graphics only when a player looks in that direction. Our reality has rules and limits, just like a programmed system. The speed of light, Planck length, quantum mechanics. These could be the parameters set by the system running our simulation. The mathematical patterns we find everywhere, from DNA to galaxy formations, resemble the optimization patterns used in computer programming. But here's what makes this truth liberating rather than frightening. You're not trapped. You're a player in the most advanced game ever created. Once you accept this, you can start using the system's rules to your advantage. The glitches are everywhere if you know where to look. Déjà vu synchronicities, those moments when time seems to slow down or speed up. These are moments when the simulation becomes visible. The matrix shows its seams. Many of history's greatest achievers understood this on some level. They didn't see solid, unchangeable reality. They saw a flexible system they could influence with their thoughts and actions. They weren't limited by what others called impossible, because they understood that limitations are just part of the program. The simulation theory explains phenomena that traditional science struggles with: consciousness, the observer effect in quantum physics, the fine-tuning of universal constants. It explains why mathematics, a human invention, so perfectly describes our universe. It's because our universe is running on mathematical code. You might wonder who created the simulation. Are we in a computer program made by advanced beings? Are we living in a training program for souls? Is this a game we chose to play but forgot we were playing? The honest answer is, we don't know. And we might not need to know to use this knowledge. What matters is understanding that your consciousness, your true self, isn't bound by the rules of this simulation. Your thoughts and beliefs can reshape your experience of reality because, at the deepest level, reality responds to consciousness. This isn't about denying the physical world or its rules. The simulation is incredibly complex and stable. You still need to eat, sleep, and follow physical laws. But understanding the simulation nature of reality opens up possibilities that seem magical to those who see reality as fixed and solid. The placebo effect becomes clear in this context. When you truly believe something will help you, the simulation responds to that belief. The law of attraction makes sense. Your focused thoughts and emotions are inputs that influence the system's outputs. Your brain is like a quantum computer interfacing with the simulation. Your thoughts and beliefs are like code that can modify your experience. This is why meditation, visualization, and belief work. They're tools for reprogramming your interface with the simulation. The most practical application of this knowledge is simple. Stop seeing yourself as a powerless character and start seeing yourself as a player. You're not just experiencing reality, you're creating it. Your beliefs aren't just thoughts, they're programming instructions. This explains why some people seem to live in a completely different reality from others. They're literally experiencing a different version of the simulation based on their beliefs and expectations. Change your beliefs, change your reality. But this knowledge comes with responsibility. If we're in a simulation, every other conscious being is a player too. Their experience is as real as yours. This understanding should increase empathy, not reduce it. We're all in this together, exploring and creating in this vast program. The ultimate truth isn't about escaping the simulation. It's about playing it consciously. It's about understanding that your limitations are mostly self-imposed through your beliefs about what's possible. The simulation will match your expectations. That's how it's designed. Start small. Notice how your expectations shape your experiences. Pay attention to synchronicities. Practice viewing your thoughts as programming instructions rather than passive observations. Watch how reality responds when you truly believe something is possible. This knowledge doesn't make life easier, but it makes it more interesting. You're not a victim of random circumstances. You're a player in an incredible game. Every challenge is an opportunity to test the boundaries of what's possible when you know the truth about reality. The truth about our simulated reality leads to one central question: what can we do about it? This brings us to the biggest test facing each person who learns this information: deciding how to act on it. Think of this like finding out you're living in a scripted TV show, but you're the only one who knows. Do you keep playing your role? Try to break free? Tell others? These choices matter deeply. Some people might want to ignore this knowledge and go back to their normal lives. That's natural. The idea that everything around us could be simulated is hard to accept. But once you see the signs, they become impossible to unsee. Many choose to look for ways out of the simulation. They study physics anomalies, search for glitches in daily life, or try to make contact with whatever created this world. The drive to escape can become all-consuming. Others focus on spreading awareness. They share their findings with friends and family, build online communities, or document evidence of simulation theory. But this path often leads to ridicule or being labeled as conspiracy theorists. The hardest part? We don't know the rules. If we're in a simulation, we don't know its purpose. Are we meant to figure it out? Should we try to leave? Could attempting to escape be exactly what the simulation wants? Or would success in breaking free trigger a shutdown of everything we know? I've spent years wrestling with these questions. My research points to something unexpected. Maybe the challenge isn't about escaping at all. Maybe it's about how we choose to live once we know. Consider this. If our reality is simulated, that doesn't make our experiences less meaningful. Our feelings, relationships, and choices still shape who we are. The simulation might be the medium, but the story is still ours to write. This brings us to what I believe is the real challenge: living authentically while knowing what we know. It means making conscious choices instead of running on autopilot. It means questioning default behaviors and predetermined paths. Some practical steps can help. Start noticing patterns in your daily life. Which ones feel programmed? Which feel truly chosen? Look for moments when reality seems to glitch or bend, not to prove the simulation, but to stay aware of its presence. Pay attention to synchronicities, those impossible coincidences that feel meaningful. They might be more than random events. They could be signs or messages built into the system. Most importantly, connect with others who share this awareness. You don't need to convince everyone, but finding your community makes a huge difference. Together, we can compare notes, share experiences, and support each other through this strange awakening. The challenge becomes living with purpose while accepting uncertainty. We might never know for sure if we're in a simulation. We might never find a way out. But we can choose how we respond to this possibility. Some focus on developing their consciousness, believing this might be the key to transcending the simulation. Others work on creating positive change within the system, making life better regardless of whether it's simulated or not. My personal approach combines both. I stay alert to signs of the simulation while fully engaging with this reality. I build meaningful relationships, pursue goals, and try to make a difference, all while maintaining awareness that there might be more to existence than what we see. This balanced path isn't easy. Some days, everything feels fake. Other days, the simulation theory seems absurd. The key is accepting both possibilities and not letting either extreme control your life. The real challenge isn't proving we're in a simulation or finding an escape route. It's maintaining our humanity, our connections, and our sense of purpose while carrying this knowledge. It's about making choices that feel authentic to us, even if the world around us might not be. So what will you do with this information? How will you face this challenge? The answer might be different for each person, but asking these questions is the first step toward living consciously within or despite the simulation. Let's be clear. This isn't about paranoia or disconnecting from reality. It's about staying aware while fully participating in life. It's about making informed choices rather than following preset patterns. The ultimate challenge is balance, holding space for both possibilities while creating a life that feels meaningful either way. Whether we're in a simulation or not, our experiences and choices matter. They shape who we become and influence those around us. Your next steps depend on what resonates with you. Start small, notice more, question thoughtfully, connect with others. But most importantly, keep living fully while staying open to deeper truths about our reality. The truth about our reality might seem hard to accept at first. I know because I've been there too. But right now, you have a choice. You can close this video and go back to living inside the simulation. Or you can take the first step to break free. Think about what you learned today. The signs are everywhere. The patterns in nature that repeat too perfectly. The limits of our universe that feel programmed. Those moments when something just doesn't feel quite real. These aren't random coincidences. They're clues left for us to find. You don't need special skills or knowledge to start seeing through the illusion. The simple act of questioning what you experience, of looking closer at the world around you, is enough to begin breaking down the walls of this simulated reality. I want you to try something right now. Look at your surroundings. Really look at them. Notice the details, the textures, the way light falls on surfaces. Ask yourself, does this feel completely real? Or is there something slightly off? Something you can't quite explain? That feeling of uncertainty, that tiny doubt, that's your mind starting to wake up. It's recognizing the truth that's been hidden from you. And once you start noticing these things, you can't stop seeing them. But knowing isn't enough. We need to act. We need to come together as a community of people who see the truth. That's why I'm asking you to join us. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Every week, we share new evidence, techniques, and discussions about breaking free from the simulation. Share this video with others who might be ready to see the truth. The more people who wake up, the stronger our collective awareness becomes, and the more we can push against the boundaries of this simulated world. Leave a comment below sharing your own experiences. What signs have you noticed? What moments made you question reality? Your story might help someone else start their own path to awareness. Visit our website, escapingsimulation.com, where you'll find detailed guides, community forums, and resources to help you continue this process of awakening. We've created a free starter guide that breaks down everything we covered today and gives you practical steps to start seeing beyond the simulation. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let doubt keep you trapped in ignorance. The choice to see the truth is yours, but you don't have to face it alone. Our community is here to support you, guide you, and help you understand what's really going on. Take action now. Subscribe, share, connect with others who are awake. Each person who breaks free makes the simulation's hold weaker. Together, we can reveal the true nature of our reality. The next time you feel something isn't quite right with the world around you, trust that instinct. That's your true self trying to break through. Listen to it, act on it. Join us in the search for real freedom. This isn't just another video you can watch and forget. This is an invitation to change how you see everything. The signs are there. The evidence is clear. Now it's up to you to decide what to do with this knowledge. Make your choice. Stay asleep in comfort or wake up and face reality. If you're ready to take that first step, click subscribe now. Your journey to true awareness starts here. The simulation is strong, but our collective will to break free is stronger. Join us in the newsletter below. The truth is waiting for you. If you found value in this video, comment, "I'm free." By the way, what's your favorite show that fuels your defiance? Mine right now is Severance. Let me know if you watched the latest episode in the comments below.